What is going on, everybody? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. It is the first Friday slate of the NBA season. 11 games on tap. My friend James, how are we doing today?
Doing pretty good. Nice 11 gamer to send us into the weekend. A slate filled with stars: Jokic, Luka, SGA, Wemby, Tatum, Sabonis. Like, there is no shortage of star power on this slate. And you know what? DraftKings has definitely done a good job when we were talking about pricing beforehand. They are not wasting much time getting
Right.
these players priced back appropriately to where they deserve. So kudos to DraftKings. That's the slate that's the slate we're going to break down today. So kudos to DraftKings. Excited to break down this 11 game slate. And after the first week, John, big shout out to the FA Nation out there for showing some love, showing some support, coming through the lives. We had a great show on Thursday, coming through the pod all week. So first week of pods and lives almost in the book. So big shout out to you guys out there for
And if you are if you're listening here and you're not yet a member of the Fantasy Alarm family, this year on Fridays we're going to do the Family League. We're going to be sending out some invites to the DraftKings contest that we're going to be running each Friday. So give you guys an opportunity to get involved. The link will be in the playbook for everybody who's tuning in here as well. So again, if you have a Fantasy Alarm membership, you'll be able to access the playbook. You'll be able to get into the Discord, and you'll be able to be part of our family league this season over on DraftKings. Get a chance to beat James and I, take some of our money if you want, and compete with the rest of the Fantasy Alarm family this year. Before we jump into the DraftKings main slate, though, of course, we want to give a friendly shout out to our guys over at rtsports.com. Go to rtsports.com/alarm, promo code alarm23. New users get a 100% deposit match up to $200 with their first deposit. You can scan that QR code on the screen or go to rtsports.com/alarm to take advantage of it. I'm going to give out our favorite RT Sports DFS pick'em plays for the Friday main slate here, and you see them on the board already. Luka Doncic, more than 7.5 assists, had the double-double. Did he triple-double?
Triple-double. Yeah,
He had the triple-double on opening night there in that matchup against San Antonio. Now draws a home start here against Brooklyn. 7.5 assists, and we also like DeAndre Ayton, more than 10.5 rebounds. Ayton got himself into quite a bit of foul trouble against the Clippers. Only played like 23 minutes or so. Still came down with 12 rebounds. So got to figure, stay out of foul trouble here against Orlando. Should be on the floor, should be able to grab plenty of rebounds in this game here. So 2 picks we like. Give your chance to 3x your money over on rtsports.com for the Friday slate. Again, go to rtsports.com/alarm, promo code alarm23. Take advantage of that new user deposit. Get yourself up to $200 matched with your first deposit there. James, jump on now on over to the main event. We got our DraftKings main slate here that we're going to be looking to break down for this Friday. Pulling up the board here. We have, again, 11 games. When it comes to totals and spreads here, what matchups are we finding ourselves looking to pay a bit of attention to?
So there's a bunch of games sitting in the 220s. Only 2 games aren't: Toronto, Chicago, and Miami, Boston. I don't think either of those are very surprising.
Mm-hmm.
The one game that stands out above the rest, John, is Golden State, Sacramento. One of the late night hammers we have, 10 p.m. tip Eastern, 240.5 is the biggest total we've had yet thus far. That game,
That hammer game?
the hammer, light the beam, all that good stuff. Sacramento 3-point favorites at home. Their offense looked as explosive as it did last year in the regular season. And the last time they saw Golden State in the regular season, Golden State ended their season actually in the playoffs in Sacramento. So that game is definitely a very marquee matchup. And then we have a bunch of games just, again, in the 220s. Knicks, Atlanta, 229.5. That's the second highest. Clippers, Utah, 230.5. That Clippers team looked really good on opening night. Again, what things can look like when they're healthy. But yeah, there's a couple games. Biggest spread we have on the board. Boston is giving 8 points at home, and that's it. Boston at 8, -8 is the biggest favorite.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's jump into it here. We go position by position on a large slate like this. Point guard spot here. Obviously, Luka Doncic sits up at the top, $11,400. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, not to be outdone, had himself quite an opening night here against Chicago, to the point that Chicago had to have a closed-door team meeting after game one. $10,600 for SGA. These are your two guards up over 10K. Certainly can go ahead and play them if you'd like. Obviously, SGA has a little bit of a tougher spot. We generally consider Cleveland to be a pretty tough matchup for most guards with Garland and Mitchell and some of the rim protection that they have on that team here. So Luka, over SGA for me when it comes to these top two price guys.
Yes, agreed. And Cleveland, slow plotting team. Their pace that they play at was really slow last year. Game number one, I mean, less than ideal as well, tied for 17th in pace already. So I also agree Luka over SGA at the top for me.
Yeah, I agree. Moving down into that next tier, we'll talk. LaMelo's still on that minutes limit. It's a little difficult to pay the $9,700, but it is a good spot against Detroit for him. It had even unlimited. But we have Steph Curry here against Sacramento at $9,300. That, to me, feels like a misprice of misprices.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have a good opener, but there was foul trouble involved in that game. And when he was on the floor, I mean, 8 for 20 is not great, but he still had 27, 5, 1 and 1. The one assist, I guess that's a question that we're going to have. One assist, well, Chris Paul has 9. Is that going to be something that, I don't know. I don't think one assist, we're going to get something closer to probably a median, but what is the median? Because if Chris Paul's distributing, Steph is going to be limited somewhere, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, 9,300 is a great price. I have nothing bad to say about it. I just think that's interesting. One assist.
I feel like that will be the lowest he has all season.
Possibly.
I think there'll be more chances for him to get into that 5 or 6 assist range with the amount of shots that team tends to take. With him passing the ball off. But it is a good point to bring up. I still think Curry at this price feels a little bit too low. We love the Trae Young price. Did not come through for us the way we had hoped on opening night, but still a pretty good spot here against the Knicks. De'Aaron Fox at $8,700, really great price as well for that next tier because it does drop off again pretty quickly after that.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine getting the Trae. I don't expect 4 for 19 again. And De'Aaron Fox in the best game environment on the board. So I'm perfectly fine getting to either of those guys.
Mm-hmm. I understand. Where are you going next then? I mean, again, it's a large slate, so I don't mean to just sort of like rush through this position, but obviously a lot of top tier names, a lot of guys are going to be pretty close in value and production. Pricing is what's going to really be the separator for these plays. So like we love Jamal Murray, generally like Jamal Murray a lot. $7,700 against Memphis. Feels like a pretty good spot. Jalen Brunson, we didn't really care for him too much against Boston. He gets Atlanta now. He's $7,500. You got a double out of Westbrook on opening night at 72. I mean, when you're kind of tiering out these plays here, if you had to build a lineup, which players are you identifying at the point guard spot here?
Maybe the one that wasn't mentioned, Fred VanVleet.
Okay.
$7,600. It's a good spot against San Antonio. San Antonio, for all the praise Wemby got, 117 defensive rating as a team, was one of the worst in the league. They played really fast. They gave up a lot of points to Dallas, who, I think we had a lot of questions about outside of Luka and Kyrie and even them coexisting. So I think VanVleet, gets back on track. Houston probably more competitive than a 30-point loss.
I was going to say, they only scored 86 points in opening night. FVV played 34 minutes and took 13 shots. So
yeah, I expect a little better performance, I would say, from that team as a whole. I'm perfectly fine with Brunson. I like Westbrook looked really good in the opener, truthfully. Now like he's typically going to be a third option, but 11 points, 13 assists, 5 rebounds. There was a little bit of a somewhat of a limit just because they were up 30 at one point in the game, and I know there was like a slight comeback and the game ended up only being 14 points, but like if Westbrook plays 30 minutes in this spot, it's pretty good. It's second best game environment on the board. Utah's a bad defensive team, as we saw on opening night. They looked horrible. So I kind of like Westbrook 72. Probably not going to get any ownership. They wasted no time getting Chris Paul up to 66, and rightfully so.
Paul got off to a super slow start and just turned it on and ended up getting exactly where he needed to. He got stat corrected off of the double-double. He had the double-double at the end of the game, and then they took an assist away. But seems pretty clear, like we talked about, there's going to be times where he's running the second unit by himself. There's going to be times where he's playing with Steph. And the numbers are just, I think, going to be there for him, kind of like you were hyping him up. Now, of course, on the small slate on opening night, he was like 56. We now have a large slate pricing here where he is 66. He probably lives more so in this range this year than below.
Yeah, as he should. I think he's appropriately priced here at 6,600.
Yep. Under 6K guys. Any shouts for you?
Under 6K, I mean, Dennis Schroeder, 56. He looked great, led the team in points, was tied for shot attempts, hit 4 threes, led the team in assists as well. This is a terrible game environment. One of 2 games under 220 over under, but Schroeder is clearly the starting point guard. He's clearly one of their top offensive options overall. So, yeah, I mean, 5,600 against a Bulls team that didn't play any defense and yelled at their coach and then the coach to leave. Like there was a lot. There's a mess, obviously. So I like Schroeder 56.
How do you handle the bench guards? Quickly came off the bench, scored a ton.
Malcolm
Brogdon came off the bench, scored a ton. Cam Thomas came off the bench,
scored
35 actual.
I mean, like they're all Cole Anthony led the Magic in scoring.
Cole Anthony off the bench led the team. So we got 4 or 5 guards here in the mid to low 5Ks that came off their bench, had insane usage, and were very efficient and productive on night one. Is that something we can continue to see?
I don't know. It's hard to obviously like project. Like the Anthony thing, most nights I would like Fultz is going to play over him and Suggs is going to play over him, but they were up 1 million and they didn't, right? So
he's their first guard off the bench, so he does have run.
Sure. No, I'm not saying
we should popcorn machine this and see how often they ran 3 guard sets.
Let's see. Houston game flow.
They probably didn't take Franz off the floor for Cole Anthony, I would imagine. So
he came in for Jalen Suggs.
Okay.
And then he played he played with Suggs in the second quarter. So he was never really on the floor with 3 guards.
Okay, so he basically was without Fultz and Suggs most of the time.
Yeah, he was either playing one with one, but not with both.
Sure. As we mentioned, Cam Thomas probably unlikely to repeat the 21 recorded shots. Also took 11 free throws, so he was like 25 or 26 actual shots in 25 minutes there, or 21 minutes there, whatever it was. So. We talked about it on the slate. We jokingly said, like, dude's a bucket. Is he going to score 40? Ha, 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 ha. And then halfway through the night, we were talking to each other, and you're like, oh, my God, Cam Thomas has 35. And I'm like, 35 of what? You're like, points. He has 35 points. So, wild stat production here from Cam Thomas. We know that he can go off like this. He's going to be the ultimate GPP play. But he's $5,100. So are you willing to throw in Cam Thomas in tournament lineups here against Dallas in the slate?
Yeah, it's probably he's not a single entry guy or he's not like a one lineup guy. But yeah, I could see myself getting to Cam Thomas in tournaments.
Under 5K, where are the guards that we're checking out here? Again, Suggs started. Highland came off the bench and was rather productive here. Keontae George for Utah, first round pick, came off the bench and had a decent little run for them. Anybody here at the value point guard position?
Sohan at 5K
Sure.
is good. Ish. And Colby White, 49. He played 31 minutes even in the blowout. Jalen Suggs, 4,600, as you mentioned, is fine, but nothing I love, truthfully.
Yeah,
Nothing
that's
I
fine.
love.
Again, they, like we said, they did a pretty good job bumping prices up on a lot of these guys here. So, no obvious, at least yet, misprices at the point guard spot. If you want to take some shots on some of these guys who maybe played 20, 25 minutes off the bench down here, I think you certainly can. But again, good on DraftKings, at least for the first week, largely staying on top of pricing. Shooting guard position here. Some guys we've already mentioned: Irving, Mitchell, Curry there. Paul George is 91. Cade Cunningham is now shooting guard only after a monster night. Desmond Bane with a monster price bump at $8,600. How are we talking about this shooting guard position, my friend?
Yeah, Kyrie looked good, but not 9,600 good. In that game, Donnie Mitch also looked really good. If you want to get there, he also was aided by 4 steals. I don't think that's something that's like necessarily all that like repeatable.
Mm.
I loved Paul George's opening night. 32 minutes, 27-3, 6-3. I could definitely get to Paul George. Really good eligibility. Cade, I think, is in play. If that's what Cade's gonna do, he took 27 shots. Like he didn't just score 30. Like if we're gonna just start shooting with that type of volume, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, dude, he was the number 1 overall pick. If you like, y'all must have forgot, type of
Right.
thing, because he was injured all last year. I can't say I hate getting there because Charlotte's also a team that plays fast and a team that doesn't play a lot of defense. So I'm perfectly fine with Cade. The Desmond Bane thing, he's probably going to be popular every slate, right?
Yeah.
Like he's just going to
It's not a great
continue.
matchup, Denver,
No,
though.
it's not. Denver looked good defensively opening
Yeah.
night. But
Mm-hmm.
like, dude, another guy, 31 points, 22 shots, and not only that, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block, 36 minutes on opening night. Like he
Yeah.
did everything. And without Ja, that's just seemingly going to be par for the course. Just like I, it's, it's, I kind of like Cade more at this price, truthfully. Like not to say I don't like Bane and I don't understand why people are going to gravitate to Bane all year without Ja, but
Mm-hmm.
Cade, I think, is just in a better spot.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. Listen, we love the prospects of Cade Cunningham. Obviously, there were some inconsistencies at times. Then he goes down with the injury. But remember, the second half of his rookie year, Cade Cunningham was an absolute animal.
Yep.
So if he can get healthy after only playing, a handful of games last year and now developing, I mean, yeah, 100%. Again, I don't know if the 27 shots is realistic. He also wasn't a great 3-point shooter as a rookie. Goes out and takes
Right.
4 of 9. So as you mentioned, but he can fill the stat sheet. He's definitely that type of player. 7K range and below: Terry Rozier, Zach LaVine, Devin Vassell, Klay Thompson, Tyler Hero. Where anybody here for you over the others?
Vassell looked really good opening night. Spurs starting 5 did in general. Levine probably not. Toronto is a tough matchup for
Yeah.
teams, dude. Scotty Barnes and OG are just really long, annoying defenders. Not necessarily. I like the price on Levine, so if you want to play him in tournament, that's fine. I do like the price on Rozier. We kind of talked about it, like LaMelo limited, Rozier not. 34
Mm-hmm.
minutes for Rozier and 24, 5, and 6. Like
Yeah.
really good game out of
Shout out
him.
to our
So,
guy Bowers in
yep.
Discord. He says, "You guys ever get a feeling it's going to be a Rozier night?" I was like, not usually. He's definitely a boomer bust tournaments, but he came out there, shot the lights out on opening night in a game against Indy, where obviously we knew it was going to be
right.
a high scoring, high pace sort of matchup for them. But definitely didn't let us down. Matchup here, obviously a bit different, but still Detroit, should be a team where I think he can score on. So no issues at all. Definitely think San Antonio is in a better spot going up against Houston. I'm still a little maybe enamored with the Wemby. I feel like eventually, if he doesn't get in foul trouble, like there's more usage to come his way. And how does that impact the rest of their starting five? I mean, Keldon almost triple doubled, right? That guy couldn't buy a rebound at times last year.
Unbelievable.
So interesting rotations and how that all is going to work out. But good matchup definitely against Houston for sure. Jordan Clarkson at 62, Marcus Smart 58. Max Struss got a big price bump, 45 to 56. Max Struss also, what do you go, 24 and 14 or something like that?
27 and 12.
27 and 12 on opening night.
I mean, that's
probably not a repeatable number for him.
Just not sustainable. That's just not sustainable.
9 of 17 from the floor, 7 of 13 from 3 for Max Struss.
I mean, dude, what are we doing? I get it. I apologize to you because you had a lineup with him.
I had Max Struss in it. It's true.
I was like, please don't play. Max Struss profile is way better on DraftKings, which it wasn't wrong. It's not, the comment wasn't wrong.
No, you said
because he profiles better as a DK play because
he was the only guy in that price range on FanDuel, so I plugged him in and then I kind of rearranged, played Gordon Hayward instead. Hayward still was fine, but obviously was not the Struss man.
Yeah,
so.
he had a game. But no, to your question, I do not think that is repeatable. No.
I agree, but I still think there's some viability there. I mean, if he's going to take shots, something to note for sure. Shaden Sharp is at 53 here. We talked about Brogdon.
Great, by the way, off the bench. He looked great for them.
We got a note here on Anthony Simons. I guess he's probable with a thumb sprain, so something to watch for there. Jordan Clarkson, 62, started that game. THT started, didn't really didn't play a ton, but $5,100 for him. Still shot a lot. Took 6 threes, so maybe some value there for him.
Maybe, yeah. It's again, they kind of got lit up at the end of that game, so who knows what the actual. Let's see when the starters checked out. Okay, so they actually didn't check out. So I take it back. He just didn't really play. He only played the first 4 minutes of the second half, which is kind of weird, but. Colin Sexton checked in for him very early.
That's what I'm saying. He really, after that run, he didn't do a lot, which is super odd. Grimes started, but only played 23 minutes. Quickly was just too good. And they also have Josh Hart, so they didn't really like Grimes to get a full run there in that rotation. Moses Moody up to 4K here. He came off a lightning rod to start that game and then didn't do much in the second half. But if he's going to be the first guard off the bench for them, you kind of have to at least give him some consideration, no?
Boy. It was one thing on a 2-game slate. It feels different on an 11-game slate.
Okay.
Again, there was also Kuminga foul trouble early, Steph foul trouble early, Steph foul trouble late. I don't know. There are a lot of things broke right for Moses Moody. I don't know if I can get there on 11-game slate. You're not wrong. I'm probably not as high on him as I should be, but I don't know.
Sure. We have what was the other one down here that we were looking at? Was it Duarte? Did Duarte get a run with Sacramento?
He played, but he ended up not starting. I mean, that was another game, or that was the same game, but they looked really good.
He only ended up playing 15 minutes. I thought I saw him on the floor a little bit more than that, but wasn't end up being the case there. All right, let's move on. Agbaji played 19 minutes for whatever that's worth to you. Duncan Robinson had a pretty decent run of minutes as well, $3,400. Did you give Duncan Robinson a look?
Possibly. They already rolled Richardson out.
Yeah.
And
22 minutes in that game, had 15 points, 10 shots.
Duncan Robinson is listed probable too, by the way.
So not bad. Small forward. Tatum's at 10-5, small forward, power forward. George, Marketing. Kawhi's down to 89 $100. Buckets at 85. 8K and above range. Got a priority here?
Fine with Tatum. I think Tatum's just, dude, he's just
Him and Zinger were the only
insane.
two that did anything in that game. So if that's the way it's going to be, at least you know who you can rely on for scoring, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's how it's gonna like. We know Jaylen Brown's better than what he showed, but
Sure.
like Tatum, I do think the starting Horford on the bench and the starting Porzingis at 5 is just gonna elevate Tatum in a lot of different categories. Like
Mhm.
3 blocks and steals combined and 11 rebounds. I don't think that's a coincidence, just considering where he's playing. He's back at the power forward position, you know. So I like Tatum. I know it's a tough spot, not the best matchup, but I'm fine with getting to him if he's going to play 39 minutes in a regular season game, especially if
Yeah,
it's the first regular season game. Markkanen, he was fine, but again, like 19 points. If he's not, I know he had the 10 rebounds, which was kind of a surprise, but the 19 points, not 9K. No, the Kawhi price is great.
yeah,
That's a great price. That's a great price. Him and Paul George both really, really good plays. Butler looked pretty good in the debut. Double double, 4 assists, 2 steals. Just a tough matchup against Boston. But if you ended up on getting Jimmy 85, like he really good. He looked really good against them
sure.
last year in the postseason. So
Yeah, for sure. Uh, Thoughts? Ben Simmons here, down in the 6K range. RJ Barrett, Franz Wagner looked really good again. I mean, that guy just consistently week in, day out, gives you pretty solid production.
dude, Franz Wagner just clocks in, clocks 8:59, clocks out 5:01, doesn't complain, does his job to the best of his ability, like every night, right? Just goes back
Mhm.
home, has a nice TV dinner when he gets back home. Like he's good, dude. He's a good basketball player. Um, Definitely fine getting to Franz. He looked good. He hit threes. He played defense. It's a really good matchup. Portland's going to be a fun team to pick on this year. So Franz Wagner. Wasn't it interesting to see Barrett play the most minutes of any Nick?
Yeah,
Because he was the guy last year that was coming off the floor. And then they gave Hart the extension. They signed DiVincenzo, and Quentin Grimes is someone that they love. And quickly, like, you're like, oh, RJ's going to quickly get phased out of this. Maybe this is them saying, please, Philadelphia, please look at how good RJ Barrett is. We want Joel Embiid. Yeah, I'm okay with both of them. Atlanta did not look great defensively, especially considering they lost to Charlotte outright. So,
right.
uh,
Speaking of Charlotte, Gordon Hayward is 57.
yeah, solid.
Harrison Barnes didn't miss a shot
Dude,
on the night.
I mean, there is something to be said. I feel like he does this in the beginning of every season. Like I feel like if we go back and look at Harry Barnes every year, my man cooks in the beginning of the campaign and then um just falls back into normal Harry B territory.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. All right, where are we going down here in this like 5K and under range?
Asor Thompson, he didn't shoot well. Just 1 for 7 from the floor. But I loved the rest of Asor Thompson's stat line, John. 7 rebounds, 3
Five ball.
assists, and 5 blocks. Like he may not be the highest upside offensive player, but there's a reason why he started on this team. He is a really good defensive player,
Mhm.
and he showed a lot of good offensive qualities in the preseason. So I would take a look at Asor Thompson, 54. I have a feeling we had the question yesterday. I have a feeling that Minnesota Twins of basketball this year for me is going to be the Pistons.
Okay.
I'm starting to think that because I weirdly like this team. They have a lot of weird fitting pieces. But time being while Boyan is out, and if they trade Boyan, which seems to be like something definitely in the cards, uh, I really like the team. So I think Asar Thompson 5,400. Cam Johnson is interesting because he was limited,
Yeah.
but he did get like decent run. I think he played 26 minutes. Yeah, 26 minutes. 12, 5, 3, and 2 for Cam Johnson in the opener. Nothing to write home about, but he averaged 16 points last year, and he averaged like 17, 18 with Brooklyn. Like he's gonna be one of their top scorers. Like
Sure.
I think maybe second best in their starting lineup. So I kind of like Cam Johnson 52 if we get word that there's going to be like a elevation, because if he goes from 26, if he plays 30 minutes, 5,200, he's probably a 6K player. So
Right.
Cam Johnson for me is in play here.
How are we approaching the Kuminga spot here? Again, came off the bench for them, played fairly well against Sacramento.
He was the first person off the bench. And then remember, he had 3 fouls in 4 minutes. And we were like, oh, that's maybe worst case scenario. And then he started the second half and he cooked.
Yeah.
He did everything. 12, 6, 1, 1, and 2. He basically had all that in the second half. And it's still no Draymond. He's still going to be the first player off the bench for them. So Jonathan Kuminga is one of my favorite values that we've talked about yet, and he's probably up to lock going to be one of my favorite values, because you look at the positions, you look at this price, there ain't people shooting as much as Kuminga down here at 4,700.
No. Like, do we miss, or is he only power forward only? Jalen Johnson, is he power forward only? He is power forward.
Yeah,
we'll talk about him in a moment then.
Yeah,
he had a day.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm with you. Kuminga, obviously the upside, the matchup, all of that works out nicely for him here. Anybody else at small forward value for you?
Bogdan played 24 minutes off the Atlanta bench. What's his price here? He's cheap on FanDuel. He's $5,000. So like I'd be okay going to Bogdan. Just looking down the list. So what is Isaac on DK? I was just looking at his power forward. I was just looking at FanDuel. He's small forward eligibility on FanDuel, because I can see the stats on FanDuel, John. You know, like I can see how somebody produced in game number 1 on FanDuel. So I'm trying to reference like fantasy points there to see if we missed anything. I don't see anything else. I think Kuminga's probably as far down as.
Sure, I agree with you. Moving on over then to power forward here. Again, we talked JT. Siakam newly on this board at $9,500. We've talked Marketing, Leonard, Butler. Julius Randle's only $8,400. Kristaps Porzingis price up to $83. Paolo Banchero $82. Wembanyama with a little bit of a price drop at $81.
Dude, you're tempting us with a good time putting Wemby at 81. Like, look, the 2 spurts, the beginning of the game, the end of the game. Imagine there's no foul trouble and what that could have been in the middle of the game. Like, dude, he's a freak of nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that disrespectfully. Just like he plays basketball and he's just different than everybody else, because, I mean, he ended up only playing 23 minutes and had 15, 5, 2, 1, and 2. So I'm definitely good getting to Wemby. Porzingis is in a tough spot, but he was really good against the Knicks. 38 and 4, and they were giving him FU chance, and he was still getting buckets left and right. So I'm okay getting to Porzingis. He clearly has a massive ceiling with this in this Boston lineup. That's probably it though. Like, I mean, you could play Kawhi here, you could play Tatum here. Randall is cheap. It is, but okay, I take it back. He took 22 shots. He just made 5. He almost triple doubled. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good getting there. Palo too. Just unfortunate that they won by 100,000 fantasy 100 points.
Yeah. Mobley gets a price bump, but he did not play very well. But same scenario, no Jared Allen here again. $7,300 gets OKC this time around. Chet Holmgren opposite of him at $6,500. Any interest going back to Mobley, who was 70% rostered on the Wednesday slate?
I mean, like, what happened? I think everyone's still trying to figure it out, right? Like, how did the 30% of the field know that Evan Mobley wasn't going to shoot the basketball or rebound the basketball?
5 of 11, Max Strus did everything. That's what it was. If you don't think Strus goes 25 and 12 again, you got to think that Evan Mobley can find some success here.
True.
Speaking of guys nobody ever plays when they go off, PJ Washington, $5,900.
Yep, that is a very accurate statement. And if there is PJ Washington ownership here, he's going 7, 3, and 5 fouls in 14 minutes. How about Jalen Williams? 5,900. Really good opener. He might be their second leading scorer this year. Ahead of Chet, ahead of Giddey. 59. He's also 5,900. That kind of feels stupid cheap. Michael Porter, despite being limited, played 30 minutes and had a double-double. I think he is in a really good spot. Did we skip over Aaron Gordon? $6,000. He's in a really good spot. Yeah. Isaiah Stewart, John, 14 and 5,300. Yeah, dude. 35 minutes, 6 for 11 from the floor. He looked great. I really, boy, oh boy, I like Detroit so much on this slate. I like Detroit awfully much. And then talk about your boy, Jalen Johnson.
Well, he's your boy. You were the one that were touting him. You were talking him up. Came off the bench, didn't miss. Obviously, you can't see his stats from last night on DraftKings because they haven't updated.
They have it down there. You can read it though, right there.
Yeah, right there. 21, 7, 2, 1, and 2, and 29 minutes off the bench. 9 of 13 from the floor. I mean, played more than DeAndre Hunter, Saddiq Bey. They took him in the first round a couple years ago. Jalen Johnson, man, you said he had a great preseason, and he had carried that right over.
He did, and I mean, look, it's what do you think of Atlanta's fit? It's kind of weird, right? Like with Hunter and Bey are like the same player. That's like the same player, Saddiq Bey and DeAndre Hunter. Like that, They both are decent at a little bit of everything, but not great at anything. And Jalen Johnson is an athletic freak who gets up the floor, can shoot threes a little bit, is a good rebounder.
Yep.
So, I mean, they asked Quinn Snyder after the game because he closed, and they said it's going to be game by game, like who closes games and who doesn't. But if Jalen Johnson's playing north of 25 minutes a night, he's got to be in the player pool.
Yeah, based off of his last performance. Now, the Knicks aren't, in theory, a great matchup for most. You know, obviously, Tatum and Porzingis had their way, but Brown and Holiday and White, most of the rest of the Celtics did not. But I think based off the last performance here, you'll see a lot of Jalen Johnson probably on a slate like this where there's not a lot of value.
Knicks had the second fewest possessions offensively in the league through one game. So like that just goes to show you again, it's going to be a slow plodding team. And
the Celtics won last night, taking 20 less shots than the Knicks.
Isn't it? I mean, has to be Atlanta based, but it's the total of this game is 229.5. Atlanta, New York. Like that is because Atlanta can't play defense.
I would assume so.
Not because people think the Knicks are going to be like running up and down the floor.
No, I don't think so. Covington filled up the stat sheet the way Covington does. Any interest here at 41?
I'm not against Covington. I'm actually a little interested in how about the guy right above him?
Yeah, I don't like the spot for against Boston. That's my worry.
28 minutes though? Like 28 minutes double, like right off the bat. I know. Like you're not wrong because it's like
I mean, just the way I saw Porzingis play last night. I mean, that is just
sure.
That's a different kind of center the Celtics have had. God bless Al Horford, right? But like, Al Horford hasn't been that guy in 5 years.
No, No, you're not wrong. And he faces Detroit, who starts basically 2 centers with Isaiah Stewart at power forward. So
right,
you're not wrong.
If Tatum is the one defending him on the perimeter, like he says, no shot there. Tatum's gonna just mug him. So
that's tough.
And also, if Kevin Love is supposed to be defending Jayson Tatum,
I was just trying to go through my head. Like, would it be wise for them to like put Bam on Tatum? Like, is that? I will say.
Okay, then you have Porzingis on Kevin Love. I mean,
nobody uses the zone quite like Eric Spoelstra. Okay,
that's true. And the other Celtics in years past could not beat it. Have they? Jaylen Brown can't dribble to the left, and that's just the way it is. All right, other power forwards down here. Anybody? Dario Saric at $3,700, maybe.
I mean, hey man, No Draymond. He's the clear-cut backup. He was the clear-cut backup center, right? We said it. He was a center. You sent me the message where Steve Kerr is gonna maybe close games with Dario Saric. So
Didn't last week, but
did not. Sure not. But yeah, I mean, very, very GPP play because he has a very low floor. John, our boy, I'm saying it. I'm saying it. I'm almost ready to go to the Jonathan Isaac well. I am very close.
I mean, he played what, 12 minutes?
Dude, I'm telling you right now, he just needs to get to 20 minutes. And I'm playing him.
Mm-hmm.
He looked so good. I don't know if you saw they credited him with a second block today.
Yeah.
Like they went back 11, 4, and 2 in 14 minutes for Jonathan Isaac. Like, dude, they paid him a lot of money. When this guy is I'm all in on the Magic. Whatever. They're my other team. They're my third team. I mean, I don't know. I'm not playing Isaac here. I'm just telling you that I'm getting us back on this bandwagon that you need to get on again.
I'll shout one more name out to you because the minutes were there last on Wednesday rather. Now, I can't even say they were aided by foul trouble because Jaren Jackson Jr. still played 36 minutes in that game, but David Roddy played 28 off the bench. Zaire Williams played 29, so seems like those two guys are in some rotation of the small forward position on that team. Jake LaRavia played 15, Derrick Rose 16. Luke Kennard's already been ruled out as well for this game. So, could see Roddy again in a role where he's playing 25 minutes. He was a first-round pick for them, I think last year or the year before that. So just a name to put out there again. Now, Denver's not a great matchup for probably anybody this year, but could also see Triple J right back into foul trouble in this spot as well. So,
yeah, thankfully for Triple J, this isn't a matchup versus Jokic, right? Like this is a matchup where he's like, "Yo, Xavier, good luck out there." But yeah, I like the Roddy shout 3,900, especially if he's going to play big minutes.
Yep, 100% agree with you there. All right, anybody else here? Power forward?
Nope.
All right, center position.
Nobody here. Let's move on.
The Joker.
Nobody
the Joker
here.
light at 10-2.
Yeah.
If you had to pick a top spend up, Luka or Jokic?
That's a fine question, John.
They're both 11K. Both got triple doubles on opening night.
Probably Jokic. It's probably Jokic, but like, that's a question that you're unfairly tossing to me because there's not a wrong answer. I'll lean Jokic. But it's unfair. It's unfair. Okay. It's an unfair question.
Okay. We've talked about some of these guys already. Sabonis, Porzingis, Wembanyama. Vucevic is up a little bit, $7,200. They did a split in Toronto. Jakob Poeltl and Precious Achiuwa both basically played the same amount of minutes, so that's the matchup for Vooch. Do you think Chicago figured anything out in their day one closed door team meeting?
Can you leave me alone?
Sorry.
Leave me alone. Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're going to play that bad again.
Sure.
Right? That was that was awful. OKC's really good. No surprise. Surprise. But they're not going to play that bad again. Now, Toronto's going to play really slow. They're going to play really slow. Not that it matters for Vucevic that much, but I think it's a fine play at 7,200. Not anything that I'm prioritizing.
Yeah. Lively started the second half of that game and went nutty, finished with a double-double. $6,400 for Derek Lively here. Brooklyn is without Claxton. We think more than likely Day'Ron Sharpe is going to be your starter here for Brooklyn. Now, how many minutes does Day'Ron Sharpe play? What's their rotation look like? But, still a good spot probably for Lively here if that ends up being the case, right?
Yeah, Derek is very lively here.
See, now we just lost a whole bunch of viewers.
Well,
First dad joke of the NBA season.
Yeah, well, first of many, John, as some of our longtime listeners know. Yeah, I'm okay getting there. I think I would like to see the start. Not that I'm not confident in the minutes, because clearly
Hey,
31 minutes
30
is
minutes. I mean,
he he start. I think the trend. I think him coming out and starting the second half is just basically like, all right, we're just playing this kid, right? Like
I think they saw what they had at center and they were like,
we probably should go to
we've
this
kind
kid
of
early.
seen it.
Yeah.
So let's use the kid we drafted in the first round.
Yeah, and he started during preseason, so it's not like he didn't have like time with the first unit and
No,
everything.
for
Yeah,
sure.
he's definitely in play 6,400.
This is a good range, honestly,
Yes.
lively. I don't think Ayton will be in foul trouble. And even when he was in foul trouble, the 23 minutes, he still had double-digit rebounds in that game.
Yep.
And then Zubac, someone that I liked going into that slate, also double-double, 20 and was it 12 or 11 or something like that. So he gets the Utah matchup. I think all three of those centers in this range here are in play. I didn't intentionally skip over Şengün. I want to go back to him here for you, because he's been your guy going back now for a season and a half. Came out, filled up the stat sheet right away in a game where they only scored 86 points. More competitive in this matchup against San Antonio. Do you like our friend Alperin here?
Yeah, pace ups, like really good pace game. No problem getting there. I think he's closer to 8K typically, so I still think this is a pretty good spot for his price.
You
So
know what was
yeah,
interesting was last year when Kevin Porter Jr. was off the floor, Şengün had a really good run of assists. And then you would assume, like, all right, well, Fred VanVleet's here, like he'll be the acting point guard, and yet Şengün still had a really good run of assists here. So I
yep.
just wonder if, like, maybe if KBJ is off the floor, we know he's not on the team anymore, that the offense now sort of runs through Şengün a little bit more, and VanVleet moves, still the point guard, but again, you can't deny the amount of assists that he had in that game.
Do you remember last year when they asked Anthony Edwards about like post game? They like talked to Anthony Edwards and they were like, "Yo, they should run." He didn't know his name. He's like, "Yo, they should run the offense to a 28." And he was literally just talking about Alperen Şengün because like sometimes you just see it and you're like, "Oh, that dude can literally do everything
And
on the
pass,
floor."
yeah,
So
spread it out. So he had 6 assists in that game, led the team. VanVleet had 5. But I mean, if this is what they're going to do, nobody else had more than 2 assists.
right,
So
just it's gonna
Şengün's
be
going to be out here giving you 4 or 5 assists a night. Add that with the double upside. Didn't have any blocks in that game, but we know he can
and
block some
steals
shots.
too. He had he averaged a steal per game last year too.
Yeah. So I think Şengün, even though 7K, obviously the price bump a little bit here. Good matchup. I'd be willing to give him another look. And if Wembanyama is foul happy, I mean, could get Şengün to the line a little bit here as well. So that's kind of your mid-tier range. Xavier Tillman went off. I don't know he's going to do that against Nikola Jokic here. Probably no. So I'm going to fade the $5,800 price tag. But right below him, Mark Williams, $5,800. He and Jalen Duran, I think, were traded for one another last year, or involved in a trade that was similar. Do I have that? My memory serves correctly here.
I forget who Duran got. Yeah, there was a draft
I
day
think he got
trade.
drafted by Charlotte and then traded, and like the Mark Williams was then later taken maybe by Charlotte. But either way, Mark Williams came out on night one. It was like, this is my job.
This is my job. Yep.
I am going to be the team centered. 30 minutes, 13, 15, 1, 3, 1. Nick Richards still played a little bit, 18 minutes off the bench, but that's what I want to see. I want to see 30 plus minutes from Mark Williams and then 15 to 20 minutes from Nick Richards, and let that be the job there.
Yeah, and no reason to think he did anything to not keep that type of role going forward. So, yeah, I like both centers here. I think Duran's performance was maybe a little more impressive because he was in early foul trouble in that game and still came away 17, 14, 4, and 4. Like, that's a monster.
If you remember last year, Duran was getting doubles off the bench in like 20 minutes. That's why we were like, they should probably play him more than playing Isaiah Livers, like maybe play Duran here.
Yeah.
And they got to the point where they're like, we're just going to play both centers. Stewart learned to shoot threes, and he started shooting threes. And now that's their rotation now. Both bigs had doubles. Stewart had 14 and 14. Duran had 17 and 14. So I'm with you there. I think both guys in Detroit are in play here.
Would you Walker Kessler had a really weird performance. Would
He
you
did
go back to
0 in the first half of that game.
would you I probably would go back to him. I have I cannot believe they wouldn't close games with him. Like it's only been one game. He was another guy who had a big preseason. I suspect his minutes are going to be closer to 30 more regularly than they're not, right?
I wouldn't see
Maybe
why not. Yeah.
I don't know. I just can't believe he only played 22 minutes. And that's just what it's going to be. I just don't buy that.
He's a better player than that, but they do have other bigs that can obviously rotate to that spot. So that's where you have to wonder a little bit. Again, John Collins can play the 5. Marketing can play the 4. Olynyk comes off, plays the 5 and the 4. So they certainly have a rotation of guys that can play that spot if they feel like they need that sort of rotation to go into play here. You also have to look at the matchup. I mean, Sabonis was just eating his lunch. So, a little bit tougher spot there. But him and Collins are the same price. Looney, vacuum cleaner Looney right there, $5,400 below him. Rob Will came off the bench, played fairly well for Portland. I think that 5K range is fine. I won't play Williams at 5,200, but Stewart, Looney, Collins, Kessler, I think they're all in conversations. Anybody you disagree with?
No one that I disagree with necessarily. Looney, no Draymond. He's gonna play a bunch, so no one that I disagree with.
He's gonna at least get the rebounds.
Yeah, no, I have nothing bad to say about Looney.
Last night against Boston, Hartenstein played 26 minutes off their bench, 7-8-2. Mitchell Robinson didn't play more than he played 22 minutes. He's also in a little bit of foul trouble, but that can be the MO for Mitchell Robinson here as well. Is it too soon to play some Hartenstein?
Too soon to play Hartenstein.
We gave him some GPP love last year.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a case to play guys that.
If you had to pick, I'll give you 3 just to cut you off. Okay. Hartenstein, Achua, Okongwu.
The answer long term is definitely Okongwu, but I mean,
if it wasn't for his 5 fouls, maybe he would have played more. But Capella also had a double in that game.
I know. I will say probably Hartenstein. Probably Hartenstein, especially because Mitch Rob is foul happy, and sometimes backup centers show up a lot in a lot of winning lineups every once in a while.
I mean, they're generally, I can't say generally, but it feels like a lot of these guys do get on the floor and they're just active, right?
Yep.
Precious Achiuwa, 24 minutes, 8-8, right? And generally he'll give you a little bit more too, a steal or a block. that's just kind of what he's done over his career. And it's usually also because they're going up against the backup center of the opposing team. So Hartenstein was scoring on Luke Cornett at will, right? Is that what we're going to see here from him in this spot against the Knicks or Atlanta, rather, going up against a Okongwu who's a little bit undersized? I don't know. So $4,100 for him, I think, is an interesting price here. All the way down is Daron Sharp, $3,300. I think we play Luka Doncic here because you can plug Sharp at center. There's not really a clear value, and I think a lot of people are going to be playing Daron Sharp knowing that he is going to start. And he's $3,300, and everybody's going to do the same thing that we're doing, going through this slate and being like, "Where's the value?
Where's the value?
Where's the cheap? Right? Where's Obi Toppin? He doesn't exist. Where's Nickeil Alexander Walker? Those 3K guys, at least for now, or at least from what we've gone through here, not really as prevalent as they were on opening night. It feels like Daron Sharp is that guy.
It does feel like Daron Sharp is that guy. So, the unfortunate part is I wish this game was 7:00. It's 8:30. But I guess we should. Jock Vaughn has spoken with the media ahead of games and stuff. So maybe we'll get some.
You mentioned Trenton Watford and Harry Giles. Neither of them you had played in that opening game.
Now
again,
they did not.
Claxton played 20 minutes. He got hurt late in that one. So it's not like they had to kind of have Sharp play and then have a backup for Sharp to figure out who that's going to be. I was surprised that Portland moved on from Trenton Watford. That guy last year when he was starting dude is an absolute monster. So
Agreed.
if we do get word that Trent Wofford is going to be available or active, and you want to be maybe different from the field, they're going to be the same price. So Trent Wofford's probably $3K if I had to assume.
Yep.
I'll pull that up here right now. Let's see, Watford. $3,000. So for $300 less, you could play a guy that last year in 20, 25 minutes was just knocking it out of the park for Portland. So,
right.
But again, everybody's anticipating obviously Sharp as the starter since he played the 12 minutes yesterday. So that's your value that we've at least identified so far. James is going to be on the playbook for Friday's slate. So any other value that comes about, obviously he'll have that written up in the playbook. We'll be talking about it all day in the Discord. Shout out to you guys. You're always throwing plays that you like that catch our eye too. Like, you know what? Great point. We're happy that you guys are as smart as we are sometimes. So it makes for great Discord conversation. So if you have that All Pro subscription and you're not in the Discord yet, I don't know, you're waiting for it, get in there. You can chat with myself. Sean Mitchell's in there all day. Grande's in there. I'm in there. We're just chatting up, talking strategy with you guys. As always, James here, we close out the show by building a lineup. So let's just get to it. I'm going to plug Aaron Sharp in there at center for now. He'll be a placeholder if we have to. But there's just not enough value here. So where do we go from here? What's the next definite play for you?
Kuminga, 47.
Kuminga at 47, power forward spot?
Maybe forward spot. It's a 10 p.m. game, so if we could always use that as like, use that as like a I don't know. What else did you like? What was
there was a lot of high scoring matchups. You mentioned the Golden State Sacramento game, so we have one piece of that.
Yeah,
I do think that we should probably get a little bit more exposure to that game here. Chris Paul was $6,600.
Yeah, I was going to say Curry, but Chris Paul obviously works too because Chris Paul is very good.
Great price, $6,600. Still keeps us under that line there. Get us a little bit more exposure. Was other than Sabonis, was there a Sacramento play that you cared for?
Not really.
Really, which is funny because they score a lot of points, but it's Fox and Sabonis. It's kind of
the pricing is not great either. Like I don't think we need to run it back with anybody either. I don't think we need to run it back.
Okay, shooting guard position here again. They priced up some of the guys we did like last on Wednesday. Desmond Bane is obviously way up here. When we were scrolling through. Dennis Schroeder still $5,600. Did you have a liking to go back to the well here?
Yep, sure.
Schroeder here at 56. Small forward, power forward, guard, and forward. Eventually, we're gonna have to make a decision on the top spend up here. We did mention Luka. Do you find yourself still looking to go Luka here? Jokic is still in play as a util option for us. Tatum, Sabonis, if you do want to get some exposure to that Golden State game, can also play at the util spot here. Where are you? What are you thinking for a top price play on the slate?
I'm obviously fine with either Jokic or Doncic. I think both work. I'd be also fine if we didn't want to go all the way up and did like a Paul George or Kawhi or something in that range.
If we went Luka, we put $6,100 a play, so a lot of money.
Yeah, let's just play Luka. If that's how, if we still have 8,800, no point in not going Luka at that point.
Yeah, I fully agree with you here. We had a couple of guys in this range. Where was Jalen Johnson? 4,700. Do you think he comes off the bench and does it again?
If you're not comfortable with that, Isaiah Stewart's 53. He's starting.
Sure, but, I like good. Totally fine with Isaiah Stewart here. $5,300 at power forward, 65-55 small forward and utility.
65-55. That's pretty good.
It is pretty good. We could definitely get another spend up if we wanted to, or another like 8K ish range play. Good go. Cade is there at 88. Fox is 87. Porzingis, Wembayama at 81. If you wanted to test the waters there again, anybody popping off the menu to you? Şengün, 7K.
If you wanted to play Jalen Johnson, that's 47. That would give us 84. You could put Kuminga at small forward,
right,
and then play Jalen Johnson at forward, and then you have 84 left for util.
Sure.
Which is pretty much anybody you just mentioned.
Would you rather Cam Thomas or Jalen Johnson?
Ooh, that's a good question. Jeez, Cam Thomas is so good. Probably Cam Thomas, right? I mean, I don't know. The guy scored 36 actual.
He scored a lot of points. That gives us an AK forward. An AK forward here. DeRozan, Triple J, Mobley running it back against OKC. Levine giving us a little bit of extra cash flow to play around with here. If we did go Jalen Johnson here, let's just do the thing. Jalen Johnson,
Wemby,
$8,400 gives us Victor Wembanyama. He can't burn us twice. Gets Houston this time around. Chris Paul, Dennis Schroeder, Jonathan Kuminga, Isaiah Stewart, Day'Ron Sharpe, Luka Doncic, Jalen Johnson, Victor Wembanyama. Again, just an example. First look preview lineup here for everybody at home. James will have the playbook out. Again, we'll have the link to our family NBA DFS Friday draft in the playbook and in the premium Discord. So if you want to be part of that, sign up. We have a great deal going on. You've seen the scroll all live stream long. But if you go to fantasy.com/lock, promo code LOCK, you can scan the QR code on the screen. Get the annual package for less than $16 a month. Right now, the month-to-month package is about $40 a month. So you're getting a tremendous discount as a limited time only offer. Get access to all of the premium content we have on site, not just NBA, but NHL, NFL, NASCAR, MMA, you name it, we cover it. Anything behind the paywall, you got access to for just less than $16 a month, including that premium Discord where we are in there answering your questions, chatting it up all day long. So check it out, fantasy.com/lock. James and I will be back 5 o'clock Eastern time for our live stream, getting you all up to date with the latest news and information, getting you all ready to dominate heading into the weekend. For now, we will catch you guys later. Good luck on your lineups.